Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the modular online training program conducted by SEAMEO Regional Training Center in Vietnam, SEAMEO RETRAC. My name is Jo Liu, Program Officer at the International Development Department of SEAMEO RETRAC, and I will be the moderator for today's section. About our modular online training program, after the series 2021-2022, SEAMEO RETRAC continues to assist SEAMEO member countries with the MOTP Series 2022-2023 starting in July 2022. It has 6 modules with 4 topics for each module, and covered this morning will be Module 2 on teacher development and support with the 2 topics, developing the leadership capacity for teachers and pedagogical support and teaching performance. Before we start, I would like to mention some housekeeping rules. Our webinar is video recorded, so please watch and listen to the video. This video will be less than 30 minutes. If you have any questions regarding the video, kindly type them into the chat box. After the video, we will have some time for questions and answers with our trainer, Dr. Anita. From this training session onward, we will participate via the Zoom platform with the whole section recorded, and then SEAMEO RETRAC will upload the video recording of each session on our YouTube channel for your reference and review later on. The YouTube link is provided on the MOTP's website. About Dr. Anita Capano-Oblina, she obtained her doctorate degree in education planning and management in the Philippines, and have been in the field of education and engaged in administrative functions back in the Philippines. She was the assistant to the academic vice president at Xavier University in 2014 and dean of faculty and academic affairs at Finmac Cayugan de Oro College from 2015 to 2017. In 2018, she came back to SEAMEO RETRAC as a senior education specialist and has been working as a curriculum developer, instructional materials designer, trainer, researcher, and lecturer. She is very passionate about advancing the leadership and management skills of school leaders, managers, administrators, and teachers in Southeast Asia. Before turning over to our presenter, I would like to ask everybody to turn on your camera for a photo shoot. Thank you very much. I can see that we have a lot of new faces for our training session today.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome.
Good morning po.
Good morning, teacher.
Good morning to all.
Okay, so we will take our first shot.
Good morning, sister.
Good morning for our second shot.
Yes.
And for our final shot. Thank you very much, everybody. Yes, and now I invited Dr. Anita to have some words with our dear participants.
Thank you so much for your kind introduction, Ms. Chow. And again, I would like to welcome from the bottom of my heart all of you who are really spending your time joining our webinar, our online training today. Thank you so much for your availability from the precious time you have. I know you are quite busy. You have also many things to do. It's a working day. And as already mentioned, this is again a recorded video, and we are just opening Module 2, Teacher Development and Support. So as already said, we're having the 2 topics today, and we're going to start on topic 5, Developing Leadership Capacity of Teachers. So we will listen to the video, and then we will have our sharing, like questions and sharing of experiences and thoughts and ideas later. Now, are we going to play the video, Ms. Chow?
Hi everyone, welcome to our MOTP Series 2022. Today we're going to open Module 2, Teacher Development and Support. The first two topics include Topic 5, Developing the Leadership Capacity of Teachers, and Topic 6, Pedagogical Support and Teaching Performance. Let's start with Topic 5, Developing the Leadership Capacity of Teachers. We're going to explore the 3 key points as follows. What is teacher leadership? What are the characteristics of a teacher leader? And how could the leadership capacity of teachers be developed? What is teacher leadership? Let me start with a brief history of teacher leadership. Based on teacher leadership literature, there are 3 waves of teacher leadership development. The first wave involved leaders taking administrative roles such as department chairs, master teachers, and union representatives. Some operational responsibilities include ordering textbooks and supplies, creating room assignments, among others. This wave emphasized the existing hierarchical structure of school leadership, and teacher leaders were not involved with instructional leadership. The limitation of the first wave caused the emergence of the second wave of teacher leadership. The second wave of teacher leadership focuses on teachers as instructional leaders rather than managers. While this teacher leadership is closely related to classroom work, these new leadership responsibilities often move teachers out of the classroom for at least part of the day. The positions created were curriculum developer, creator of prepackaged materials, and staff development positions. Teacher leaders became specialists. However, the realization that curriculum was not a simplistic formula, even if it were created by teachers, and emphasized the importance of empowering teachers to continue to work in the classroom, led to the third wave of teacher leadership. This third wave of teacher leadership represents a time when school structures are being modified to more fully allow teachers to participate in leadership as part of their day-to-day work as classroom teachers. Teacher leaders in the third wave emphasized shared leadership. Schools are currently in third wave teacher leadership, which began in the 1990s. The role of teacher leadership in the third wave includes redesign schools, mentor their colleagues, engage in problem solving, provide professional activities for colleagues, collaborate with teachers, discuss common problems, share approaches to various learning situations, explore ways to overcome the structural constraints of limited time, space, resources, and restricted policies, and investigate motivational strategies to bring students to a deeper engagement with the learning. The third wave of teacher leadership allows teachers an increased sense of ownership for improving student outcomes, not just in their classrooms, but throughout the school. There is no longer a sense of my students, but our students. Current perceptions of teacher leadership have likely been shaped by historical views of leadership. So, what is teacher leadership? Teacher leadership is the process by which teachers individually or collectively influence their colleagues, school leaders, other members of the school communities, as well as students and their families to improve teaching and learning practices with the aim of increased student learning and achievement. One of the confusions in defining teacher leadership and identifying teacher leaders is that leadership is not found in a position or title. In most schools, there are teachers who are the designated leaders of their grade level teams or departments, but being named a team leader is not the same as being a teacher leader. As a team leader, it is your duty to ensure that people are giving their best. But teacher leaders won't just manage from a distance and let their team do all the work. Teacher leaders will work side by side with the team and share their knowledge to help everyone improve. This moves us to the second key point of my presentation. What are the characteristics of a teacher leader? Teacher leader characteristics include the following: collaborator, model, advocate, entrepreneur, reflective, motivator, and risk taker. Collaborator. Teacher leaders are collaborators. As collaborators, they learn from one another, share knowledge, share resources, and support one another in carrying out the vision and expectations for effective student learning. Teacher leaders develop skills to collaborate with teachers, administrators, paraprofessionals, parents, and students. Teachers become teacher leaders when they experiment with instructional delivery and teaching practices, and then collaborate with others to fine-tune their experimentations. They collaborate within the context of professional learning community teams, university courses, and through informal conversations with colleagues and stakeholders. Model. Teacher leaders are models. To be an effective model, teacher leaders need content and pedagogical knowledge. They need to be open to improving teacher practice, and they need to make their instruction visible to others. As part of the modeling process, teacher leaders analyzed and discussed teaching practices. In this way, teacher leaders discuss their knowledge and become agents of instructional change within their schools and districts. When modeling techniques for others, teacher leaders are aware of adult learning theories and appropriate means for conveying their content and pedagogical knowledge. Modeling happens through demonstration lessons, analysis of teaching videos, and professional learning communities. Advocate. Teacher leaders are advocates. As advocates, teacher leaders make their voices heard in academic conversations and hold themselves and others to high standards of professionalism. In order to advocate effectively, teacher leaders engage in conversation and communication with a variety of stakeholders and advocate for improved instruction to promote the teaching profession. Advocates address issues so that students and the learning environment are the central focus. At times, advocates must challenge existing practices, policies, and pre-existing cultural beliefs based on their knowledge of student learning and best practices. Entrepreneur. Teacher leaders are entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs possess a positive attitude, a passion for the profession, and confidence in their abilities. As an entrepreneur, teacher leaders are knowledgeable about the subject matter, continuously engage in professional learning experiences, and work to develop entrepreneurial skills and attitudes in their students. They seek new materials, new approaches, and differentiated lesson delivery to meet the needs of students in varied contexts. Reflective. Teacher leaders are reflective practitioners. Through a cycle of professional learning, experimentation, honest assessment, and reflection, teacher leaders hone their content knowledge and pedagogical knowledge to best meet the instructional needs of their students. Reflection must be based on knowledge of best practice, input from colleagues, and continued application over time. Reflection occurs through journaling, blogging, video analysis, peer sharing, and action research practices. Motivator. Teacher leaders are motivators. Teacher leaders are motivated to collaborate with and support colleagues. Key aspects of motivation are that teachers engage in experimentation, share their ideas and understandings, and then make decisions to take action or institute changes. They motivate their students and colleagues in inquiry and acting upon their curiosities. And risk taker. Teacher leaders are risk takers. Teacher leaders have a natural curiosity and eagerness to learn new techniques and experiment. When switching to virtual and hybrid lesson delivery, teachers had to take risk and experiment with various forms of technology to design and implement lessons for their students. They stepped outside their comfort zones and sought innovative ways to deliver instruction. Risk takers share experiences within a culture of mutual acceptance. When all teachers see themselves through the lens of a teacher leader, the school as an organization can experience positive transformation. The learning culture is enhanced as teachers engage in inquiry and professional learning through a cyclical process of examining, designing, adapting, evaluating, and reflecting upon their instructional knowledge, practices, and approaches. Notably, in the midst of the pandemic, teachers were thrust into new understandings and definitions of their roles and their leadership abilities. They learned new and creative ways to provide instruction, locate appropriate materials and resources, and communicate with students, parents, and colleagues. When schools returned to normal, the leadership qualities developed in teachers need to be recognized, supported, nourished, and developed. This takes us to the last key point of my presentation. How could the leadership capacity of teachers be developed? According to the Center for Comprehensive School Reform and Improvement, the coexistence of the following three critical areas could help develop teacher leaders. They are as follows. Critical Area 1, School Culture. Critical Area 2, Roles and Relationships. And Critical Area 3, Structures. Critical Area 1, School Culture. School culture supports teacher leadership when the following characteristics are present. 1. Clear communication. Ensure that structures are in place to allow all teachers to access information about teacher leadership opportunities such as newsletter, blog, or weekly email. Everyone is on the same page. Make sure a two-way communication loop between teachers and administrators so that teachers can ask questions and give feedback early on. For example, conduct surveys or focus groups to see what teachers, school leaders, and others think about a new role or program. Clear, predictable, and reliable communication structures are in place, such as weekly email updates or monthly staff meetings. 2. Collegial environment. Teachers collaborate regularly before, after, and during the school day, both formally and informally. Staff is united by a shared vision. All teachers, administrators, and support staff can speak about the school's goals and how they are working towards the goal together. 3. Problem-solving orientation. Staff needs to be more interested in problem-solving than complaining about them. Teachers see challenges as something that can be overcome. There is no such thing as a problem that is impossible to address. Students are ours as opposed to yours or mine. The students' successes and challenges belong to everyone, and everyone is committed to making improvements. And 4, trust. Teachers should feel comfortable when solving problems. Before teachers can rally around a solution, they often need to feel that their concerns are heard. A trusting environment enables teachers to identify the real problem, an important step that allows everyone to quickly move on to the solution-seeking phase. Teachers and school leaders have their doors open to welcome each other. There is no expectations to be perfect, so there is no fear of making oneself vulnerable. Everyone is focused on mutual growth and improvement. The culture within the school supports teacher leaders. Supervisors and colleagues encourage leadership. And teachers are provided the time, resources, and opportunities to develop leadership skills. Critical area 2, roles and relationships. Roles and relationships include high trust and positive working relationships exist both among teacher peers and with administrators. Teacher leadership work that is central to the teaching and learning processes as opposed to administrative or managerial tasks is routinely assigned. Teacher leader and administrator leader domains are clearly defined, including their shared leadership responsibilities. School leaders support teacher leadership through formal structures, informal behaviors, coaching, and feedback. Interpersonal relationships between teacher leaders and the school leaders flourish. When teacher leaders emerge in this grounded setting, they maintain a focus on teaching and learning and establish trusting and constructive relationships. They build influence in both formal and informal situations, honing their skills through collaborating routinely with peers and administrators. And critical area 3, structures. Structures can foster the growth of teacher leaders by providing adequate access to materials, time, and space for activities that facilitate teacher leadership. For example, professional development. For improving or expanding a teacher leadership program in schools, there must be a structure that builds a pathway to teacher leaders. This structure identifies the kinds of work that teacher leaders engage in, which they call the targets of leadership influence. For example, school leaders concern themselves with making sure there is adequate ongoing professional development, work on establishing a collaborative team structure within the school, or focus on organizational capacities such as policies and allocation of resources that contribute to improved teaching and learning in the classroom. Start small. For example, if your ultimate goal is to create a peer coaching role, you may need to start small with learning walks or allowing teachers to voluntarily open their classrooms to their peers. Create structures to help teacher leaders do their job. For example, develop a set of protocols so teacher leaders can use to run meetings, handle difficult conversations, or conduct a peer observation. Identify what teacher leaders will do, including specific responsibilities and how they may differ from other roles such as administrators. I have just finished my presentation on developing the leadership capacity of teachers. I would like to close it with a few thoughts. The work of a teacher leader is often undefined, unsupported, and sometimes unrecognized and undervalued, thus limiting the potential for positive impact. The capacity for teacher leadership to flourish is a joint responsibility of teachers, school leaders, the school systems within which they work, and the broader educational and policy context. While many teachers quietly and successfully assume leadership without any of the surrounding supports identified, the potential for their ongoing growth and expanded impact on the school as a whole is limited. Support the coexistence of the three critical areas of developing teacher leadership capacity: school culture, roles and relationships, and structures. Thank you for your participation. Hi everyone, welcome to our
Thank you very much for a wonderful video with very informative ideas relating to our topic. So now we'll head into the Q&A section. And if you have any ideas or sharing that you would like to discuss with Dr. Anita, kindly type them into the chat box or unmute yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for watching the video. And at this point, I guess you have some questions in mind that you would like to share with us. No, maybe I could just give a little sharing of thoughts. Okay, so we have here one, I guess, Ms. Chow, Christine is raising hand, I guess.
The person has just unraised their hand, so yes, maybe after
Okay.
the ideas, yes.
Now, while preparing this lecture, what really came to my mind is that teacher leadership is critical, in the school reformation after the two years pandemic restrictions. Why? It is because there are lots of things to do in the school. Like to prepare the school, the classrooms, prepare instructional materials, prepare textbooks, prepare our students. as well as prepare the human resources, the employees, the staff, to be ready to come back to school after the COVID-19 disruptions. So at this point in time, we really need teacher leaders. Teacher leadership can do a lot in the reformation of the school. I have presented the development, the historical development of teacher leadership. And we see teacher leadership is growing, it is dynamic. It is a process, I would say. So that teacher leadership started from a very structural, hierarchical point of view. Like the teacher leaders were not at the beginning, were not engaged in instructional materials, but they were tasked some managerial positions. Like creating classroom assignments, ordering textbooks, all these things. And then eventually the development realized then that no, we need teacher leaders as instructional leaders. So that was the second wave. Teacher leaders then teachers were given the assignment to be curriculum developers or designers. They were tasked to create instructional materials, and they were assigned as leaders in some, like organizations and so on. And so that was then from very managerial position to a kind of academic, engagement. And then it continued to grow. And we have this third wave. And in the third wave, teacher leadership, teacher leaders were already given responsibilities aside from just curriculum developers or instructional materials creators. They were assigned another task. They can collaborate. They can help redesign the school. They can discuss problems, issues, concerns to improve quality teaching. They are participating, actively in the academy. And so we are doing what is that third wave doing. But then it is expanding a lot. See, teacher leadership is the process. It's a journey. And what is its purpose? The purpose of teacher leadership is to impact teaching and learning, to influence academic accomplishment of students. So students will be able to be developed holistically, and we will be able to apply what we have learned in the school in the context where we are. So I would say that all teachers are teacher leaders. We lead the development, the formation of our students. We lead students to be good citizens, productive citizens. So that is our role as teacher leaders. But then I also mentioned very critical components to develop, as teacher leaders. There are three critical areas, very, very important. We have one is school culture. The school culture is a culture that invites teachers to develop their potentials, to be able to contribute
to the development of the school, to be able to perform very effectively in impacting and influencing quality teaching and learning. That culture is nurtured, and the teachers can feel accepted, valued, recognized. So they will bloom to be able to be agents of instructional change. So school culture is very, very important in that case. So we have to develop that. There is clear communication so that no one is left behind. There should be just one message, not mixed messages. So there must be problem-solving orientation so that student teachers are feeling not alone and feeling that there are no problems. Together we can solve problems. And the collegial environment, that friendship environment. See, that we should, I hope that there is no gap between administrators and teachers. The teachers can just come, open, with no inhibitions. I would like to share with you my experience along with this. When I conducted a research in Singapore, way back 2014, that's quite long ago, but that image is still clear to me. I noticed, while we were having interviews with the principals, the teacher just come in and then say something, seems that they're talking, like quite important. And the principal just entertain and talk normally. And I said, oh, I remember back in my country, there is this big gap. When you are leaders, you are up there, you cannot just, teachers could not just knock the door and get inside. But I said, that really amazed me. I could not forget that. And when we went down after that interview, the teachers one teacher just, tapped the shoulder of the principal and said, can you observe my class later? Inviting the principal to observe her class while we were walking down. This collegiality, just that there is that feeling of oneness. And that is a culture that's quite important. If you would like our teachers to bloom, and we say the quality of education in Singapore, that's really very noticeable. So then if there is that collegiality, there is that open door, there is clear communication, there is trust. That trust is very important. We grow when people trust us. School culture. To develop that culture, if you would like to develop our teachers to be teacher leaders. And then roles and relationships, another critical area, roles and relationships. The roles, the responsibilities must be clearly defined. So that there is no overlapping, because overlapping of responsibility can cause chaos, problem. There must be protocols or procedures, systems to follow. So teachers are guided. They know what to do and who to come, who to, refer. So if we have that culture in our school,
then there is a positive working relationships. And every teacher is happy doing his or her work. And each one is performing excellently because there is support. Not only support from the administrators, but support within the colleagues. There is mutual acceptance of limitations and weaknesses. No one is afraid. I am vulnerable because no one is perfect. Tell me who is perfect. Not one. I have my limitations, all of us. So relationships are built in that kind of culture. So that school leaders will come and help the teachers, in any way, like coaching, feedback, mentoring, could be formal structures or informal structures, And then the third critical area in developing teacher leader is structures. There must be a structure. There must be, as I said a while ago, a system. There must be a procedure. There must be a way of doing things. And you can start from small, and then, a structure or a system gives direction. You see? What is your purpose? What is that vision of the school? What is the vision, mission of the department in that particular school? Put your structures in order to achieve that vision. But the structure, you can do it together, collaboratively with your teachers and other stakeholders when necessary, so that there is ownership of that system that is created. There is ownership. There is participation. So when we have these three critical areas, coexistence. By existence means that they should be intertwined, they work together as one. Not one is separated. These three important areas must work together to develop teacher leaders. And what a privilege if all our teachers are teacher leaders. The school will bloom. The school will prosper. The school will be transformed because teachers are powerful. They know well. They know the ground. They are with the students. Leaders are just up there, but teachers are in the forefront. They can influence a lot. They can impact quality education. That is how teacher leadership is crucial, especially now, after 2 years pandemic restrictions. We come back to school face to face. And we see teachers learn many things. Teacher leadership has been enriched during the pandemic. So we nurture, we develop, we enhance and enrich what has been done, what has been learned during the pandemic. during the online teaching. So I hope this time I would like to come back to your questions. I think we have so much here. Miss Chow?
Yes, we're having a lot of questions in the chat box. So could you please read them and answer them? Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay. Okay, we have here, I hope I started from the first question. Just let me know if I missed one. We have here from Cherry Ann Justiniano. Good morning. How can teacher leadership address the behavior of teacher with different culture that result in misunderstanding and fighting? Wow, very interesting question. That's again another challenge when we are talking about multicultural backgrounds of our teacher. I think the thing to do here is that there must be a clear communication. If the teacher is not behaving as we expect the teacher to behave, that would, as you said here, from different culture, that would be related, resonating with the culture of the teacher. So the thing to do here is communication. There must be open communication. And that the teacher, all teachers feel that they are accepted, that they are recognized, that they are valued. And when teachers feel they belong, I guess they would voluntarily change. But we say we cannot change the person right away. It will take time. It is a process. So I suggest we start from collegial communication. Because teachers, like us, they have heart, they have feelings. Yeah, and they are there because they have the passion to teach. And there is no reason not to change when necessary. But again, communication. Develop that open, clear communication culture. Okay, thank you for that question. And next is, okay, thank you, Jennifer, for saying that inspiring talk. Next one is from Tin Mar Nguyen from Myanmar. How should we lead to get the best outcome for online teaching at abnormal condition? Okay, that's really interesting one. Online teaching, right? And how should we lead to get the best outcome? I am thinking about networking with teachers. Like we know there are challenges in the online teaching. Students are passive. They might not, engaging in the lesson. They are absent, and they might be there present, but they are not attending. They are doing something, maybe playing games or whatever. We could not just tap the shoulder of the student and say, "Hi, we're having class." So lots of challenges, technological resources, and many things. I would say to lead is to network with other teachers. You can ask the assistants. You can ask them how they do about it. What are their strategies? And what works well and what not work well. No. If after what you have done does not work, then come to think of networking with teachers. And aside from that, you can also do your doing some research. There are many YouTubes, online about teaching during COVID-19, like online teaching. So perhaps you can gain some insights on what to do in your own context. Though they have different contexts, but perhaps you can draw some insights that would help you. That's leadership. So when we speak of leadership, we take initiatives. We go out from our zones and welcome other ideas and perspectives and put that together. And of course, their strategies may not work because they have different contexts and students, but we can gather some thoughts, and reflecting over to contextualize it in our own circumstance, I would say. I hope I have shared.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, welcome. Okay, from Gwen. Thank you, Dr. Anita. Okay, welcome. I would love to hear you sharing about the challenges or difficulties you encountered with building the structure pathway for teacher leadership development at your institution. Okay, yeah, that's a very interesting question. It is, when we did it back in my institution, we first like identify, our vision, what we would like to accomplish this year, for example. Align, with the goals of the department. And then we collaborated it with teachers. Teachers are informed about making this structure or guidelines. And then we come together and shared our ideas, like, for example, we conducted we have proficiency exam. Okay, this is just an example. English proficiency exam back in the institution where I was working before. That all students, like freshman students coming to the university, will take that English proficiency exam. And then the purpose of that exam is that we will be able to assess our students on their levels of English. So we have regular English, and then we have a kind of preparatory English, which is non-credited. Only the regular English is credited in the program. And so with that, we created a system on how to do it. We created a structure. And the teachers are involved in the process of doing. So, and then finally, we have it. Like, because there are many things to prepare. For example, we have to prepare the questionnaire. And then we discuss what is the content of the questions, what areas are we going to incorporate, how many number of items per, content, and so many things. And then the next then is when to administer, how will that be administered, and who are in charge of checking, and so many, we put that all in context, in paper. And then we arrange, and then we define like who will do, who is who, and what, and so on. So it's a collaborative system that we do in that particular aspect of our program, of our department. There are many challenges along the way because, of course, different ideas from teachers. We've got to discuss, we've got to surface out what are the best things to do, and so on. It's a process though, but we finished it and it was successful. So that is also building teacher leadership development in process, because teacher leaders are involved and they have this ownership, to make a difference, in achieving the goal of the department. Now, I would say that's just one kind of teacher leadership development, because there are many teachers involved. We involved almost all teachers in the department. Each one has a particular task. Well, this is another thing. If you are talking about teacher leadership development in terms of professional learning, well, we have that's another pathway, that's another structure that we created. Because in that aspect that involves needs of the teachers, if the trainings, attending to seminars, conferences, or they are going to continue higher education. And that's another pathway, that's another structure of teacher leadership development. Okay, I hope I have shared. When? Okay, from Sister Osidia, thank you for joining. Okay, thank you for sharing and explicitly explain the 3 critical areas in developing teacher leadership. Much welcome, my pleasure, sister. And we have here, in your experience as a school leader, among the 3 critical areas, what is the most difficult? I think the most difficult, the 3 are quite challenging because of the different personalities, cultural backgrounds, professional backgrounds of teachers. But then the difficult one that I experience is developing a school culture, because many teachers are, I would say, from different cultures, they're having their own reservations. Some are not showing, are not demonstrating. They are afraid to be vulnerable. And we could say there are teachers who are stubborn. And it really takes patience and, determination and constant, just letting them feel that they're really important. Though at the back of our head, sometimes we get already, oh, what is this? We are struggling, That's quite normal. There are really lots of struggles and stresses in process. But I see, sister, that there is really a big problem. One school where I was the dean, because there is this teacher who is always absent and late to come to class, tardiness. But the point is that we could not just, we could not, aside from that, late submission of documents, especially grades. And we could not just, I would say, dismiss the teacher because she's very much tenured, And what we did was really constantly reminding her and coming to her and be friend to her and explain, the effects of what she's doing, not only to school, but to students and so many things. Then eventually it took us really years and years. Eventually she gave way. So that culture, of openness, that culture of mutual respect and trust, and it's quite difficult. Maybe structures, we can come together and discuss the structures and did it, open minds and open spirits, and roles and relationships, we can have this relationship, but somehow relationships are sometimes not real ones. that culture, it's quite a challenge, but we just keep moving. It's a process. We don't give up. We don't give up. We show that we are there and they will change. Thank you, sister. We have from Tita or Bisibitan. Yes, in the past, teacher leadership was something frowned of by administrators. Thank God, things have changed. I agree. Instructional leaders have capacitated and involved teachers in school management. That is true. The teacher leaders before, teacher leadership was not recognized. It was in the first wave, but in the historical development of teachers, there were realizations that teachers are best leaders in their own rights. As I already mentioned, they are the fourth runners, the forefronts. If we want quality education, quality teaching and learning, then we need quality teachers. They are in the battlefield. They must be equipped. Content knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, life skills. After all, what remained are the life skills of the students. Like, for example, we teach history, but when the students graduated, they could not bring that one to their employment. But what remains in them are the critical thinking, the collaboration, the communication, the skills that we teach it, analysis, evaluation, creation, that will impact students. We need quality teachers to do that. And that would be in the pedagogical support that we will discuss later. Thank you for sharing that, Tita. Good sharing of thoughts. We have from Richie Diaz. Okay, thank you and welcome. Teachers should focus on the academe and impact quality teaching and learning. Yes, definitely agree. That is the mission of teachers, to impact, to make a change, to impact students from not knowing to knowing, to impact students from being a student to be a very good employee. There is change. So that impact brings change. It's a holistic change. Holistic change. We develop the students, the whole being of the students. So they become whole being to others. And we have here from Mary Grace Baguio. Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much, Dr. Anita. Addressing teacher behavior really plays an important role in school improvement. Yeah. Some teachers have negative response in some tasks assigned to improve their quality of teaching and professional growth as well, especially in applying for promotion. Negative response. I think this was what we mentioned a while ago, sister, about teachers quite difficult to deal with, maybe because of some factors. But right, there are lots of factors why teachers are behaving negatively. Again, I would like to suggest that we need these three critical areas to be intertwined. That they are connected. See, they work together to welcome teachers, to promote teacher leadership. Because we don't know that teachers have their own baggages with them. Unless their baggages are unfolded, that might lighten the burden and they can perform well. So we need this school culture. When we speak of culture, not only the administrators, not only the principals, not only the leaders, must be all. A culture is happening within the community. So teachers, staff, employees, all are involved to making teacher leaders. And when everyone is accepted, recognized, and valued, there's no reason for one to be negative, unless that burden again is to be unfolded and shared when that is necessary. But we need listening ears and big heart. Thank you for that sharing, Mary Grace. Here one is from Jennifer Tavares. What was the most difficult experience you encountered in encouraging teachers to be leaders? Sometimes tend to not take responsibility. Sometimes because they are loaded with paperwork. How do you encourage teachers like this? Okay, very challenging. Is the first one you asked is what was the most difficult experience you encountered in encouraging teachers to be leaders? I am reflecting back, most difficult things I encountered, or the most difficult thing was that teachers are, I would say, not afraid, but fearful. Teachers won't hold responsibilities. I remember that when I asked one teacher to do it, and then I would rather to be just an ordinary teacher. What I was trying to point out is the mindset. The mindset of teachers. Oh, some teachers, though not all, we see the potential. I see the potential of the teacher, but his mindset is different. But he is doing well. Only we would have wanted him to perform something, to be a leader of, something very important. We created a program, and we would like him to be the leader because we see him potential. But he denied. And we said, it's a regret. What came to mind is his mindset. And of course, we don't force the teachers. We don't. But we are lucky if all teachers welcome leadership. So that's one thing, the mindset of the teachers, some teachers. And you mentioned about paperwork. There's another problem also. They're bombarded. Some teachers, not some, but all teachers are bombarded with paperwork, and they don't have that time because they also have their own families. So that's another challenge of school leaders. If school leaders are going to pick out one to be, to lead, and because of paperwork, and so on. And aside from that also, teachers could not do more. Much would they like because of so many paperworks that they are going to do and submit on time, like there are different forms and different assignments. And I guess this time school leaders are also concerned about it. I guess this time paperworks are already minimized. I hope so. So that teachers can do well in the preparation of their teaching. Time to do research, to enrich their materials. Time to design their instructional materials to specific students they have. And I guess that would be very important aspect of teachers to impact quality teaching and learning. So aside from the mindset, we have another challenge is the paperwork, which I agree. That is quite institutional, but I guess you can ask your administrators to do something about it. So how do you encourage teachers like this? Okay, teachers who are faced with paperwork, I think, I would say, create a system. There must be a system on how to do it. You create a system, like for example, sometimes we are overwhelmed with so many works, but do it piece by piece. Start from this and then that, and finish and then turn another one. Just a matter of creating a system on how things to be done, I guess. If that works, that's fine. So teachers can do other things. It just came to my mind. Because procrastinating our work would not do good to us. Okay? Thank you, Jennifer, for sharing your thoughts. Now we have from Maria Teresa Malaborbor. I agree that teacher leader can suggest a solution to problem. He or she knows how to handle even difficult situations that may arise in the class. Right, I agree. a tough one and with generous heart to have students, colleagues, or even school head in difficult situations. You're right, definitely. Teacher leaders can suggest solutions, can share, can collaborate, can make a difference. I really experienced that a lot, many times. You know, in a group discussion, in a group sharing, for example, we have issues and concerns. I never thought about it, but here is a teacher telling that, boom, this is good. See? Insights and thoughts. Because we have different experiences and backgrounds. That's the beauty of differences. Diversity. Very, very enriching. You're right in saying that, Maria Teresa. Thank you for sharing. From Rogelio Jackson Jr. Yes, it is really important that roles must be clearly defined to avoid overlapping of functions. Definitely, yes. It is sad that teachers come to class or come to school, newly hired teachers, for example, do not know their specific functions. And they said, I really don't know. I don't have much idea. There's a lack of orientation. Much more to teachers who had been in the school, and yet there was no clear definition or description of functions that caused, as I said, chaos, problem. And we should avoid that. Roles must be clearly defined and must be differentiated depending on the needs and capacities. And also we have the roles of the administrators and roles of teachers so that there is no overlapping. We have from Himarani from Malaysia. Totally agreed with you, Doctor. As a teacher, we have to be transformed ourselves to help and improve others. Everyone should learn negotiation and decision-making in diplomatic ways and in crucial situations to avoid any misunderstanding among management, leaders, and so on. Right. You're right. So teachers must first be transformed. I think by transformation, we would mean here that from that culture, from that backgrounds, a teacher. Because see, for example, teachers come to us. Some new teachers arrive. And supposing these teachers come from different schools, joining our school. And that school has a culture different from our culture. Right? Each school has its own culture, kind of relationships they build, different structure. So teachers coming to us, and the teacher might be overwhelmed. Wow, this is different. The culture is different. Wow, the structure is different. Wow, relationship is different. And the teacher must be transformed if the teacher would like to join the school. There is a transformation. The transformation, as I said, will not happen overnight. It's a process. But we see the progress, the development. The development of the transformation is noticeable. And that we welcome the teacher. There's a kind of transformation happening. We need to be transformed. To live out, to be able to to be our best. To be our best. And it's always a learning process as well. We learn. And we bring what is good in that school to this school. See? Align with the vision, mission of the school we are in. So yeah, you're right. Everyone should learn negotiation, to negotiate peacefully. It's a mutual negotiation. It's an open, with open heart and mind, without losing our identity. That's another thing. When we're open, our mind and heart, we don't lose who we are. We are still are. No. But we embrace various ideas and try to incorporate it, try to assimilate, try to connect together pieces of information and details that would help us grow in the school we are in. Okay,
Well,
so decision making.
Yeah, well, so pardon, like lecturer, I quite so totally agree with like school culture. So because we have like some of the problem like aging, like gap between like our principle. So we have to like simulate and try to adapt ourselves to that environment because we have some like school culture, like aging, like how could I say, like who is on top, like we cannot like feedback from like down to top, like how should we like figure out what is the problem?
Okay. Thank you so much for your sharing. Guess you mentioned here about the relationship between the administrator, top leaders, and the teachers. Like how do we bridge the gap to develop that school culture? And the other thing is that you also talk about age gap. Am I right? I'm trying to connect what you mentioned.
Correct.
Yeah. So the age gap, that there are those, we have different age levels. I mean, ages. We have this already like senior citizen. And we have the average and we have the young ones. And how do we communicate? How do we develop that school culture of openness, clear communication, collegiality, trust, for example, when we have these different personalities, and so on. I would say that when we develop the school culture, it should be established, it should be spoken out, it should be verbalized, and it should be from the top. It must be assisted. I, for example, ordinary teacher, could not just make that. It must be from the top. It's a joint responsibility. So if the school leaders would initiate, would have this, I would say, policy or structure or something like letting all the staff, the employees, the teachers in particular, that we are going to create this culture of openness, the clear communication. We create this culture of collegiality. My door is open to you. You can come anytime. The teachers' doors are open to their peers. If we create this right from the top, then it will be disseminated to different programs, different levels, different units. Then we will be able to develop that culture. When we speak of culture, we refer to a lifestyle. See? A culture is a lifestyle. It's a day-to-day living. That is the culture. But as I said, it must be a joint responsibility. And must be coming from the top leaders, then down, and then from the bottom to the top. So that there is no more gap. There are no, I would say, bridges to cross. See? So the young, the adult, the average can come together. We have to respect diversity. I think we mentioned about inclusion, equitable, diverse people that we are working with. There is this mutual acceptance. There is this collegiality. But again, it does not mean that I lost my identity. I am. But I am open because I know that I am different as they are different. We have all limitations. We have all our weaknesses, but we also have our own strengths. We have potentials. And together we work. If I have shortcoming, help me strengthen this one. As I help you strengthen and, correct your weaknesses. Let us check one another. And together we grow. That was me. That's a joint responsibility, as I said. So I hope the leaders can realize that. It's quite important to develop teacher leaders. There is no inhibition. There is no discrimination. Because we have one mission. Our mission is to impact quality teaching and learning. That's our mission. How can we arrive that if we have these differences that are, barring us, that bar us to perform well? We have to minimize, if not, do away with these barriers. Now, we already are facing, I guess, face-to-face education later. It seems that the COVID-19 pandemic is getting away. Thank God. We will come back to normal. Is it new normal? After the pandemic restrictions. And so lots of things to do to reform our school, the reformation of the school and the transformation of the staff, all employees, for the betterment of quality education. Because we understand there are learning losses of our students. And we need to bridge the gap. We need teacher leaders, empowered teachers to do the difference. Okay, so I hope that I have shared with you my thoughts that this is a joint responsibility that teacher leaders, all the employees and top leaders come together and create this culture.
Thank you so much for your recommendation. So do I at all. Yeah, and I try to adapt myself to the environment, and I try to enrich a new culture and school culture, because so do I at all. Because we have to should respect diversity, we have so diversity generation, right? And generation bloomer, who is first jobber, Y generation. Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, I understand what you're saying here. This current generation, we have the students, the graduates, graduates we had and then joining in the teaching force. Lots of adjustments. And I agree with you, adaptability is really quite demanding for teacher leaders. Thank you so much. Try Patana, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, Chai Patana. Yeah, I'm from Thailand.
From Thailand. Thank you for joining from Thailand. Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I think Himarani was done with you. And if you have something to tell, you can ask me for follow-up. And we have here from Mary Joy Biazon. Thank you, Dr. Anita. Such a refreshing perspective. Welcome and thank you for joining. And we have from Sherry Ann Castignano. I agree with you, Doctor, about the structures. If the school structure is lacking, they cannot provide quality education for the learners as well as the organization. Very true. And thank you also for that input and your sharing of thoughts. That's really nice to hear it from you. And we have from Jennifer Tavares. I agree with you, Doc. Teachers also have the right to suggest things, improve system. Teachers are frontliners. Therefore, they see what are the problems and know the solutions they think might. Definitely, yes. You're right. Teachers know well and can say many things, especially along with, teaching and learning, because they are frontliners. And then we have here from On. Correct me if I'm wrong. For teachers to be engaged in academic activities resulting in quality improvement, the institution must develop ongoing programs and activities to help teachers develop professionally. However, I believe that apart from professional development activities, teachers should be involved in personal development or self-improvement to improve their habits, behavior, and actions, or change their mindsets. When they can improve themselves, they can know how to collaborate with their colleagues, deal with pressure, overcome procrastination, control their emotions, and be more responsible and willing to learning new things. These qualities and attributes in turn would help teachers get more motivation and inspiration to work more effectively. You are right. You have said it well, Owen. Thank you so much. You said it well. You're right. So, yeah, there must be teacher professional activities ongoing, to prepare and to help teachers to become more effective, more empowered. But as well as there must be personal development, I would say, to check, to grow over the behavior, the traits, the characteristics, and the habits need to be changed for transformation, to be transformed to really what the teacher would like, and to become more effective with, in demonstrating, performing the teaching profession. Of course, with the change of mindsets as well. You're right. Okay, so along with that, then they can perform well. They can do whatever they can, do to improve teaching and learning. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, right. They will be more motivated and inspired and empowered to perform, to do more effectively. Definitely, yes. And I have here from Norven. I strongly agree with your shared powerful thoughts, Doctor. As teacher, we have a great opportunity to foster positive changes to the everyday experiences in our schools. Investing time in improving school culture is worth the effort. Thank you for acknowledging, Norvin, and for sharing your thoughts. And we have here from Lamberto Pilatan Jr. Doctor, your presentation is so enlightening and insightful. I am really 100% agreeable with your great points. My salute and gratitude for you sharing this very valuable information. Thank you so much, Lamberto, for acknowledging, and thank you for being with us today. And we have from Regina Rose Redor. Guess that's how we separate the professional teachers from the experienced teachers. Yes, thank you for sharing. You're right. I think you have many things to say here. I leave it to you, but thank you for sharing that. And here we have from Sarim Yang. I have two questions. One, how to distinguish the roles of school leaders and teacher leaders. And two, can you elaborate team leader versus teacher leader? Okay. Now, first question is how to distinguish the roles of school leaders and teacher leaders. Now, I would say school leaders are responsible in the administration and management of the school. school leaders have two functions that would be educational leadership and management leadership. These two functions are, I would say, performed by school leaders. Being educational leader, then the concern of the academic, improve instruction, academic performance, the curriculum and assessment, improve all this, put them in place. And then in the management field, school leaders as managers would see to it that the teachers perform well. It's more on how to the effectiveness of the performance and how the teachers perform. Are they perform well or not? So that's the school leaders. It's an oversee of all things, and so many things. But when we speak of teacher leaders here, that would really much focus on instruction, like teacher leaders engage in teaching and learning, of course, the pedagogy, assessment, and I would say it could also be like the teaching quality, and more. It is rather in the level of the academe, most likely in the academe, but school leaders both academe and non-academe. But there is a distinction between school leaders and teacher leaders in the field of the academe, because I would say that the school leaders are more on the top management of the academe, but teacher leaders are more in the ground and performing, in demonstrating. That's teacher leaders. But then teacher leaders connect to the administrators, as well as administrators connect to teacher leaders, so that there is no hierarchical structure. It should be like horizontal, so they can talk and discuss, but we have different functions, different roles. And then you said, can you elaborate team leader versus teacher leader? Okay, now very briefly, a team leader is the one seeing to it that the team is performing well, is doing well, that the goal of what has to be achieved is achieved. That's a team leader. There is a follow-up. But a teacher leader, a team leader can work at the distance. Can just say, okay, what you do this one, you do this. This is your task. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perform this. Submit this next time. On Monday or whatever. So there is a distinction. There's a specific time, and the task is defined. A team leader, and then evaluate the performance later. But a teacher leader will not just say do this, but a teacher leader will work side by side with the teacher. That's a teacher leader. A teacher leader is helping the teacher or the staff to improve, to perform well, but by not working at a distance, but side by side. That's a teacher leader. Okay, I hope I have shared with you my thoughts about it. Sarim, I'll move to the next.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anita.
Thank you. Welcome. Now we have here from Owen. Okay, thank you. Welcome, Owen. Now we have from Tita or Bisido Tan. Thank you, Dr. Anita. Yes, school culture, this is the most difficult one, especially when they have different values and beliefs. Yeah. And thank you for sharing your thoughts. I definitely agree with you. We have here from Y2, Yan. Yeah. I hope I have read your name. I'm so sorry. Good morning, everyone. I'm watching. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. Yeah, I did not. Okay. Thank you for watching from Myanmar. And from Sister Maria Gracia. Pasida. Thank you so much. I am relieved to know the building school culture is most challenging. Yes, thank you, sister. True. And then, so we have thank you from Cheryl Soriano. Thank you so much for your very comprehensive sharing. Thank you too for joining. Okay. And we have from Ria. Okay, welcome, Maya. From Ria, I agree that the most challenging one to change in school is the school culture. Okay, thank you so much for your enlightening words. It is so inspiring. Thank you, and yeah, welcome, and thank you for joining, Ria. And we have here from Milan Sagun, very comprehensive and what a compelling information. Thanks, Dr. Ania from Philippines. Welcome, Miss Melan Sagun, and really thank you so much for your insight too and for your joining us. Thank you. And from Rodilo Makilan, thank you from the Philippines, and welcome. I welcome you all, and I'm really very thankful for you joining us in today's session. Miss Chow. I think
Yes.
we are done. Is there no other question, I guess?
Again, that's all for the Q&A section for first topic.
I'm sorry if I missed something. I missed out something.
So now we will have a short break for 10 minutes to 10:15. Then we will come back with our second video for today's section. Thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you in 10:50.
Okay, see you next topic.
Thank you very much and welcome back. We will now watch our second video for our second topic. Thank you very much.
Welcome back. The second topic for today's session is pedagogical support and teaching performance. Let's look into the following key points. What is pedagogy and how does it affect teaching performance? What are some pedagogical approaches to enhance teaching and learning? And what pedagogical support strategy would enhance teaching performance? What is pedagogy and how does it affect teaching performance? The word pedagogy has Greek origins and breaks down into two parts. Paidos, literally child, and agogos, leader. The word refers to a person who leads a child, but this leader was not the teacher, at least not at first. The pedagogos was a slave who led a child to school in the morning and then back home in the afternoon. These slaves were considered as the experienced and wise who imparted knowledge to the children they were taking to school. The rich individuals of the area used pedagogos to take their children to school. This is how the word pedagogue was created. It is described as the leader of children. They guide the students academically as well as morally. What is pedagogy? Pedagogy is a method of teaching in which teachers teach both in theory and in practice. Pedagogy is shaped by teachers' teaching beliefs and involves their understanding of culture and different learning styles. It is essential for students to have meaningful classroom relationships in order to build on prior learning. The main aim of pedagogy is to build on previous learning of the students and work on the development of skills and attitudes of the learners. Pedagogy enables the students to get a thorough understanding of the subject and helps them in applying those learnings in their daily lives outside of the classroom. The proper pedagogy helps students move beyond simple forms of thinking as defined in the Bloom's taxonomy pyramid, like basic memorization and comprehension, to complex learning processes like analysis, evaluation, and creation. How does pedagogy affect teaching performance? Having a well-thought-out pedagogy can improve the quality of teaching performance by adjusting the way students learn and helping them gain a deeper grasp of fundamental material. Being mindful of the way you teach can help you better understand how to help students achieve deeper learning, and it can in turn impact student perception, resulting in cooperative learning environments. This brings us to the second key point of my presentation. What are some pedagogical approaches to enhance teaching and learning? There are many pedagogical approaches, but I picked out 9 that are widely used because they provide a more nuanced understanding of how the students' learning fit into the world around them. They are Constructivist pedagogy, Inquiry-based learning pedagogy, Socratic method pedagogy, Problem-based learning pedagogy, Collaborative pedagogy, Integrative pedagogy, Reflective pedagogy, Critical pedagogy, and Culturally responsive teaching pedagogy. Constructivist pedagogy. Constructivist pedagogy helps students understand the meaning of their learning materials and construct their own knowledge through direct experience instead of just passively ingesting content. It is a pedagogy learners actively involved in learning. They construct knowledge in contrast to passively receiving it from a facilitator. From a teacher point of view, teacher provides learners the opportunity to construct their own sense of what is being learned by building internal connection of relationship among the ideas and facts being taught. Example of constructivist pedagogy. KWLH charts are a great way to get an overview of student progress throughout the term. After finishing a unit or series of lessons, have learners fill out the chart with the following fields: what we know, what we want to know, what we have learned, and how we know it. Inquiry-based learning pedagogy. Inquiry-based learning is a learning process that engages students by making real-world connections through exploration and high-level questioning. It is an approach to learning that encourages students to engage in problem-solving and experiential learning. The basis of this method is to channelize the thought process of the student through queries and help them in how to think instead of what to think. From a teacher point of view, teacher focuses on moving students beyond general curiosity into the realms of critical thinking and understanding. Encourage students to ask questions and support them through the investigation process, understanding when to begin and how to structure an inquiry activity. Example of inquiry-based learning. One way to incorporate inquiry-based learning in your classroom is through oral history projects. Ask students to research the personal histories of an individual of their choice, conduct interviews with the person if possible, and create a presentation that includes artifacts, a feature article, a personal memoir, and a photograph. Socratic method pedagogy. The Socratic method is a traditional pedagogy named after Greek philosopher Socrates, who taught students by asking a series of questions. The principle underlying the Socratic method is that students learn through the use of critical thinking, reason, and logic. Example of Socratic learning. To implement Socratic learning strategies in your classroom, arrange students in inner and outer circles. The inner circle engages in discussion, while the outer circle observes and takes notes. The outer circle then shares their observations and questions the inner circle with guidance from the instructor. Problem-based learning pedagogy. In problem-based learning, students acquire knowledge by devising a solution to a real-world problem. As they do, they acquire knowledge as well as communication and collaboration skills. Example of problem-based learning. Concept mapping is an engaging activity that helps students tackle complex course concepts, divide the class into teams, and present them with a course-related problem. One team member writes down a solution and passes the sheets of paper along to the next team member who builds that idea and then passes it along to the rest of the team. In the end, a spokesperson can present their ultimate solution. Collaborative pedagogy. Collaborative pedagogy rejects the notion that students can think, learn, and write effectively in isolation. Collaborative pedagogy is a learner-centered strategy that strives to maximize critical thinking, learning and writing skills through peer-to-peer interaction and interpersonal engagement. In this approach, the learners learn in groups, share their experiences, experiment, and create a co-learning environment. Example of collaborative pedagogy. Set up stations or posters in a few locations around the classroom and get students to participate in a gallery walk. Divide students into small groups and have them rotate between each station together, sorting their observations into categories. Finally, ask them to write down a list of questions about the source material they are viewing. Integrative pedagogy. Integrative learning is the process of making connections between concepts and experiences so that information and skills can be applied to novel and complex issues or challenges. This approach allows students to connect what they learn with the real world. The approach makes learning more meaningful and students improve their subject knowledge as well. Example of integrative pedagogy. Hands-on learning experiences like community service are a great way to bring integrative pedagogy into the classroom. Holding fundraising at local schools or elder care homes, or preparing meals for those experiencing food insecurity are forms of experiential learning that can help students take part in community service activities. Reflective pedagogy. Reflective pedagogy encourages the students to evaluate themselves. It means observing the activities of the teachers and other students in the classroom and analyzing why they do it and how it works. Students are also encouraged to reflect on their performance on assessments and look for areas where they can improve. The practice fosters self-learning, self-observation, and self-evaluation. Example of reflective pedagogy. Conversation stations are a great way for students to engage with their peers and reflect on their own learning. Instructors start by sharing a list of discussion questions pertaining to a course reading, video, or case study. Students are put into groups and given 5 to 10 minutes to discuss before rotating to another group. The students who have just joined a group have an opportunity to share findings from their last discussion before answering the second question with their new group. Critical pedagogy. Critical pedagogy asserts that issues of social justice and democracy are not distinct from acts of teaching and learning. It is a theory and practice that helps students question and challenge prevalent beliefs and practices and achieve critical consciousness. Example of critical pedagogy: flipped classroom strategies aim to increase student engagement and learning by having students complete readings at home and then work on live problem solving during class time. And culturally responsive teaching pedagogy. Culturally responsive teaching is a more modern pedagogy that acknowledges, responds to, and celebrates fundamental cultures. It strives to offer equitable access to education for students from all cultures. Example of culturally responsive teaching: use learning stations in your classroom to accommodate a variety of student learning styles at the same time. Whether due to culture, socialization, preference, or learning needs, students respond differently to a variety of content. You can provide a range of material to each student by setting up learning stations where students can play a game or watch a video. Keeping in mind the pedagogical approaches, let us move to the last key point of my presentation. What pedagogical support strategy would enhance teaching performance? One critical pedagogical support is coaching. We know from research, practice, and even personal experience that teachers who receive high-quality ongoing support teach more effectively. Specifically, one-to-one coaching with the help of high-quality pedagogical leaders, that is, coach, principal, or anyone qualified to support teachers, who consistently conduct individualized support sessions with teachers, has been shown to be one of the most effective ways to improve teaching. This coaching cycle offers a step-by-step blueprint for what should happen each time a pedagogical leader meets with a teacher. This blueprint provides a map for how pedagogical leaders can provide high-quality support to teachers that is tailored, practical, focused, and ongoing. Here is a 7-step process to facilitate effective one-to-one pedagogical support for teachers. Step 1. Prepare. How should pedagogical leaders prepare for each one-to-one coaching session? Pedagogical leaders should come to each session having reviewed what was discussed in the last visit, including teacher goals and 1 to 2 areas on which to focus during the one-to-one session. But pedagogical leaders also should prepare to be ready to adapt if teachers' needs have changed since the previous visit. Being responsive can strengthen rapport and help teachers see the one-to-one support as relevant to their needs and priorities, further motivating learning and growth. Step 2. Check-in. How should pedagogical leaders check in with teachers before conducting one-to-one sessions? Pedagogical leaders should take a few moments before each one-to-one session to check in with teachers, asking general questions and aligning on the one-to-one session plans. The check-in allows pedagogical leaders and teachers to align on expectations and plans explicitly. This check-in with teachers can be done via SMS or phone the day before the one-to-one session. Step 3, observe. How can pedagogical leaders conduct quality classroom observations? Focusing observations on a few specific areas of classroom practice instead of trying to comment on every aspect of a lesson can help the one-to-one session focus, tailored, and practical. Moreover, pedagogical leaders can use a validated observation tool. Lastly, before observing, pedagogical leaders should share and discuss the observation tool with teachers to set clear expectations of effective teaching and answer any questions the teacher may have. Step 4, reflect. How can pedagogical leaders facilitate meaningful reflection? Reflecting for learning and growth is a process and skill that takes practice. To support teachers' reflective capacities and opportunities for growth, pedagogical leaders can use guiding questions, observation notes, videos of classroom practice, and debriefing templates that help teachers to first describe, then evaluate and analyze their classroom teaching experiences and next steps. Pedagogical leaders can also help teachers to slow down and spend time examining any surprises or unexpected events from teachers' classroom experiences, which often offers opportunities for new insight and approaches to teaching. Step 5, feedback. How can pedagogical leaders deliver feedback effectively? In order for feedback to be effective, pedagogical leaders should discuss feedback as soon as possible after the observation. Ensure feedback focuses on areas for improvement instead of areas of criticism, and justify feedback with examples from the observed lesson. Instead of telling teachers what to do, pedagogical leaders should strive to help teachers understand the desired practice, contrast with their current practice, and identify ways to close any gaps between the two. Thinking of feedback as a dialogue can ensure teachers benefit from discussing and internalizing feedback through constructive conversation. Step 6, practice. How can pedagogical leaders practice deliberately with teachers while slowly shifting the responsibility to teachers? Pedagogical leaders can utilize deliberate practice, which is a high-quality, intentional, and scaffolded form of practice in which teachers are supported by a pedagogical leader to build expertise over time. Deliberate practice includes focusing on one or two skills to avoid overwhelming teachers and to slowly build teachers' capabilities step by step, breaking down complex behaviors into clear steps and then modeling these steps for teachers, and creating practice activities that are targeted to the teacher's current capability and scaffolded so that the teacher is challenged but not overwhelmed by something new. And step 7, set goals. How can pedagogical leaders support teachers to achieve their goals? Supporting teachers to clearly detail how they intend to achieve their goals increases the likelihood of success. Pedagogical leaders can do this with 2 simple steps: plan when and how teachers will implement the goal. For example, instead of simply setting a goal such as check for understanding more, the pedagogical leaders can help the teacher identify specific situations when the teacher should check for understanding and determine how to respond to such situations. The specifics of how pedagogical leaders facilitate one-to-one support is critical to quality teaching. Ensuring pedagogical leaders have the time and resources for quality coaching is an investment in learning for teachers and students alike. Policymakers, therefore, need to give pedagogical leaders sufficient training and time to support teachers deliberately and deeply. I have just finished my presentation on pedagogical support and teaching performance. I would like to close it with a few thoughts. In current times, the need for a pedagogical support program for teachers to optimize their work in the classroom in front of their students is evident. The present challenge of pedagogical support is to improve teaching performance in order to regain the academic performance of students that was disrupted by the COVID-19 epidemic. Most teachers have limited interaction with their students, do not adequately develop their curricular planning, do not manage active strategies, do not use innovative learning resources, technological resources. Teachers need pedagogical support from high-quality pedagogical leaders. I hope the 7-step process to facilitate effective one-to-one pedagogical support for teachers makes sense. Thank you for your participation. Welcome back. The second topic.
Yes, we can continue our modular training. So dear distinguished participants, whether you have any questions or any sharing? Yes. Thank you for your response. Yes.
Thank you so much for hearing you now. Okay, so I guess it's clear to us that there was a technical problem from the other side. And now we are having our sharing.
Yes.
Okay, so we are now open to ask questions or share our ideas and insights about pedagogical support and teaching performance. Okay, so so we have here from Lambert.
Just see the comments.
Yeah. There is a comment. Thank you so much, Dr. Anita, for a very informative presentation. I really find your delivery on the topic so simple, but very clear, concise, and understandable. Thank you and welcome. Thank you so much. Okay, very much welcome, Lamberto. And thank you really for joining us. And thank you that the presentation makes sense to you. Thank you. Okay, so now we're talking about pedagogical support and how does that affect to the teaching performance of the teachers. I guess we understand quite clear what is pedagogy. In fact, I started defining it from the Greek origins of the term. And we see from the origin of the term that pedagogy is understood as paidados, which means leader of children. So we understand that we teachers are leaders, but not just leaders in ordinary term, but leaders who will guide the proper pathway, who will make a change, because a leader, if we guide, if the children are guided, they are in their journey. It's a journey process. So we know education is a journey. it's a journey process, but we know that there is a change along the way. There must be changes, of the students, of the children. That's the implication of being a leader, according to the Greek understanding. So a leader will make change, will develop, will form the students in a manner that are based on the needs, and in a manner that they will understand, they will appreciate, and they will be able to practice what has been given to them. So that is pedagogy. So it is a teaching method in theory and practice. We give the theory and we allow students to practice it so that they can apply it in the context where they are. Again, when we speak to what we spoke about teacher leadership, and this is now the continuation of what we are trying to point out here, that teacher leaders are really very, very important in making a change and in leading students from where they are to where they would be. And in my presentation, I included different pedagogical approaches that might be useful in the journey of learning. We can use different pedagogical approaches depending on context and situation and needs of the students and the lessons that we deliver to them, the lessons that we teach. With that in mind, I shared with you the 9 approaches because I believe these approaches are very workable because they can use this as well in the context where they are, like collaborative pedagogy, critical pedagogy. We have the integrative pedagogy. We have the problem-solving learning pedagogy, reflective pedagogy, different types of pedagogical approaches where teachers can use to be able to lead and to transform students and to improve the academic performance of the students. Why? Because we believe once the academic performance is improved, then students can apply it, can contextualize in their own circumstance. But we take note that we don't form students only academically, but holistically. I'd like to point that out in process of learning. And I also highlighted the pedagogical support that teachers need, especially in current times. We can transform teachers to become empowered in their teaching, in delivering the lesson by putting in place the pedagogical support. But we need pedagogical leaders to do that. High quality pedagogical leaders to help and support teachers in process to be able to be effective in teaching and learning. So we have here, I guess we have, okay, now with that then, I'd like to finish that I have enumerated the 7-step process. And I hope that makes sense. Maybe we will discuss that later. But let me have first some comments, perhaps, or questions here from the participants. So we have here, okay, from Her Marani. In this book world, teachers need to upgrade traditional pedagogies to teach pedagogies so that students are eager in the learning process. Teachers should learn and improve their technology pedagogies, is this one, due to increased visual learning among students by using free tools and apps. thank you so much for sharing your thoughts about the need of the teachers. So that from the traditional pedagogies, we need to use the modern, the technology to reach out our students where they are. And you're right, we have free tools and apps that can be used. Because I guess even if we are already going back to in-person classes, we do need these technologies. The learnings we have been having during the COVID-19 restrictions are really very important, and they will continue. And maybe we can modify a bit to respond to the needs, of the current education after the COVID-19 restrictions. And we have from SEAMEO. Thanks so much, Dr. Anita. I really love the messages in your slides I shared. Thank you so much too. I have a few points for clarification. What are the most effective pedagogy that developed countries use and produce world-class education standards? Another one, can you elaborate coaching and mentoring? Okay, so the first one is, what are the most effective pedagogy that developed countries use and produce world-class education standard? Quite challenging question. Perhaps I could not just point one, because one pedagogy or pedagogical approach, because it's really a combination of different pedagogical approaches, but it should be like learning-centered pedagogical approaches where you ask students to perform. And of course, after the theory, there must be a discussion of theory first. That's why we said that pedagogy is a method of teaching in theory and practice. We cannot just put our students in practice without giving them the knowledge, the information first. There must be theory, then practice. That's the combination of two that may change the students, and that would produce quality education and world-class education. Because all over the world, these pedagogies, these pedagogical approaches are being used. But I guess it would depend on how, we do it, how we perform it, how we make it sense in our classes. How do we use constructivist pedagogy? How do we use integrative pedagogy? How do we use reflective pedagogy? How do we use culturally responsive teaching pedagogy? Because we know the theories. I cited some examples, but these are just minimal examples. We have more. I could not afford to give more. So it is now the teachers' creativity and innovation, how you would use that particular pedagogical approach to affect standard education. So definitely when you ask me what are the most effective pedagogy, I would say constructivist pedagogy, that's quite famous, used. Collaborative, critical. It's a combination of different pedagogical approaches, I would say. Because each pedagogical approach has strength and limitation. But we teachers should know when to use each approach and how to use it effectively. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Sarim, yeah, thank you for acknowledging. And next is, can you elaborate coaching and mentoring? It's a very good, interesting question. Now, coaching and mentoring are two different terms. Okay. When we speak of coaching, we are trying to improve the performance of the teacher. That is coaching. And it is non-directive way of helping the teacher improve the performance and reach the goal of the teacher. That is why in coaching, you need to have first, like, you have to prepare. Step one. When we say prepare, we should know what is the goal of the teacher, what is the need of the teacher, and what the teacher would like to achieve. Then coaching comes. It is a non-directive in the sense that the coach is going to ask questions and let the coachee reflect, answer the questions, align with the goal that the teacher has identified. So in coaching, the coachee has lots of talking. The coach will guide and will help the coachee achieve, tune in towards the goal on how are you going to achieve that goal, what must be done. It is how the coachee is going to define and find, with the help of the coach, find answers, find ways to achieve that goal. That is coaching. Whereas mentoring is, it's a directive way of helping the teacher. Mentoring is requiring the mentor to really be expert of the field. Like, for example, I cannot mentor a math teacher because I am an English teacher. Why? Because I cannot share my experiences with him. His experience is different from mine. What does that mean then? In the mentoring, the mentor is going to develop the knowledge and skills of the mentee to improve the career, the profession of the mentee. Usually mentor takes time. It takes like maybe one term or 1 year if you really would like to mentor one. An example of mentoring is apprentice, for example. There is an apprentice and you're mentoring the apprentice in your school. So that is now really following up, a thorough follow-up of the improvement, And here, another very important characteristic of mentoring is that the mentor speaks a lot and the mentee listens. It's opposite to coaching. Why? Because the mentor is sharing his or her experiences, her knowledge, her skills to the mentee of that particular discipline to improve the profession of the mentee. So there is now a coach can coach, even if the coachee has different or as having different discipline. I can coach to any teachers, regardless of their disciplines. But I can only mentor to teacher within my discipline. Is that okay, Mr. Reem?
Hi, Dr. Anita. Thank you
I'm
so
sorry,
much.
I'm sorry, Mr. I'm sorry. Okay,
Yeah,
I hope you can always follow up.
Yeah, very informative and a lot of helpful information. Because actually, I was interested in the point that you presented that coaching is one of the most important activity in helping the teachers. But I did not see the word mentoring, so sorry. So that's why I really want to know the difference between the two, and you just elaborated so very helpful. So can the combination of the two be used in supporting the teachers?
It can.
Okay,
Yeah, it can.
okay.
It can.
Thank you.
It can.
Thank you.
You can start mentoring and then coaching. Yeah. But as I mentioned, mentoring is quite significant because it is more on improving or developing the professional skills of the teacher. By professional skills, the field, the discipline of the teacher. If it is math or social science, English teacher, whatever, then the mentor will come in. But that does not mean that the coach cannot mentor. Okay, thank you so much. Now we have from Norvin, what is pedagogical evaluation that is quick and easy to examine whether the teacher deliver effectively the theory and the practical application in the part of the students. I think the pedagogical evaluation that we are doing, but depending on purpose, is the observation. We have the class observation.
Yes, exactly, Doc. Because we eliminated the COT nowadays, the classroom observation for teachers. Yeah.
So there is no classroom observation.
We are still observing, but the COT is temporarily suspended.
Oh, is it because of the pandemic? I mean, the online teaching, so there is no class observation, I guess.
Yes, Doc.
Okay. Yeah, because that's the way we speak. Because when we speak of pedagogy, we are referring to the methods. And we can evaluate this one through observation.
Exactly, Doc.
Class observation. Yes. And I guess in the 7-step process that I mentioned, observation is very important. That is found in step 3.
Yes, so that we can also classify. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. The 7 classification is really essential.
Yeah, that's true. So I will discuss that later. I will first go to some questions here. So we have from Owen. Would you please suggest some research tools to identify the teacher's needs and competency gaps apart from questionnaires and checklists? Okay, so the first thing really, we have this questionnaire like teacher needs analysis, right? But apart from questionnaires and checklists, observation is a research tool that you can use to see the competency gaps. I think you're referring now to teachers, whether or not teachers are delivering the lesson well. I hope I get you right. But we can do observations if you already have these questionnaires and checklists, or interview. We can interview teachers or group discussions. So those are other ways that we can use to be able to identify the teacher needs. I guess when we do like focus group discussions, that would be the best tool as well, because it will allow teachers to explain further. It will allow teachers to express their concerns, their issues. Because when we use just pen and paper, that is quite limited. And that would not be, I would say, a very transparent material to find out the really needs of the teachers. It will be good to have focus group discussions or interviews or observations. That will depend now on which of the tools work best from your end. Okay, thank you, Owen. Now we have from Cherry Ann Justiniano. Pedagogical approaches could help different learners with which strategies is the best way for them to learn. Yeah, so we have different pedagogical approaches, and it is now up to the teachers which pedagogical approach would work well in your classroom, in the kind of students you have. Because we understand that one pedagogical approach may not be functional or not working well with the different, with the kind of classroom needs of students. So we can adjust. But before using that, we should study first. We should learn much and prepare so that we'll be able to use it optimally. We have from Himarani. As teachers, we only know what type of students we have and what method of pedagogies we apply to increase the impactful teaching and learning in our classroom. We just need to try and error all the 21st teaching strategies to increase the 60s among our students. Very good. Yeah, that is really, you're right. You have a good insight here. We try and then find which one would work well than not trying. In other words, we have open mind, and in doing so, we are open to learn, but we can only learn once we also do reflections. So after the implementation, we assess and evaluate and reflect the strength and the weakness, and then do more for the second time around. Okay, thank you so much for your input. And we have here from Emmanuel. Yeah. Oh, I'm happy you're joining us. Pedagogical leadership is so timely at this moment that almost all countries are already having a face-to-face class modality. You're right. I think almost all countries. I wonder if there are still countries who are not yet using in-class face-to-face classes. Okay, we need leaders who foresee actualized realities versus implementing school visions. In the early opening of class here in the Philippines, we have a number of casualties from different schools like student suicide, burnout, vehicular accidents in going to school, cardiac arrest while having school activity, too many students and teachers stress, and many more. Pedagogical leaders can alleviate these issues. Oh, really? That's awful. There are really lots of things to do to prepare the school, to prepare teachers, to prepare students and parents coming back to the face-to-face classes. Thank you for sharing this one. So we need pedagogical leadership. We need pedagogical leaders to be able to, to be able to help, to be able to find ways to deliver the lesson in a manner that is meaningful engaging and effective, and students would be able to enjoy learning because we understand the journey that we had during the pandemic restrictions. And students now are going out, teachers are going out, coming to school, and that's another scenario. And that's the adaptability and the adjustments and all really are very important, much more in teaching and learning. Thank you so much for sharing this to us, Emmanuel. We have from Maria Teresa Ann Fernandez. Should we apply the same instructional design processes and learning strategies to all our e-learning and in-person classes, regardless of audience age? Challenging, because we deal with more adult learners in higher education. Okay, so now I guess you're speaking from the higher education institutions. I would say if you ask me if you're going to just apply what has been used in online, I guess what you're referring here, and apply it in school, in face-to-face, I would say that in higher education, for example, there is this level, the level of year level, academic level of the students, like first year and second year and third year and fourth year. And you said regardless of level, we designed the program, we designed the instructional materials based on the level, the academic level of the students. Okay, that's my understanding. And then we designed particular instructional material for online teaching. And now we are in class instruction. I believe that there is an adjustment because remote teaching is different from in-class teaching. I understand that in the remote teaching, we limit the content. We just focus on the key essential competencies. I don't know if that's also happened in the college, in the university, but that is supposed to happen due to the limiting of time, and there are also some constraints online that we limit. But the face-to-face classes quite different. So we've got to adjust, we've got to revisit our instructional materials and then learning strategies. We've got to revisit all this to be able to address the needs in the in-class instruction. Yeah, in adult, more adult, but still in higher education, I believe that we need to revisit what has been given and has been practiced remote teaching now that we are in the face-to-face instruction. Because there might be some changes there might be some things that we would like to put in, and we discard some, items. That would depend on the kind of students you have, and the vision and mission of the program, and the goal of the program. Okay. Thank you so much for that insight and that question. Now we have from Emmanuel. Okay, thank you very much for the timely lesson that you shared with us. It widens my horizon, perspectives on this matter. God bless. Thank you so much, and God bless us all, Emmanuel. I agree with you, Doc Obina, in saying that it is up to the teacher as to what effective strategy a teacher must apply, as long as it brings to life the lesson that a teacher teaches. Well said. Thank you, Emmanuel, again. Now we have from Tita or Visido Tan. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm honored and privileged to spend this time with you. Oh, it's my honor too, and thank you for joining us today, Tita. A very clear, understanding of both sessions today, sharing your expertise naturally. Okay, thank you too. And we have from Sarim. Thanks, Dr. Abina. So interesting lesson today. If time allows, can I be responded if the presented pedagogical approaches are applicable for all grade levels or just some specific ones? I would say that those 9 approaches, I'd say definitely they can be applied to different grade levels. But it would now depend on the teacher on how you are going to use it, how you use the particular pedagogy. Like, for example, reflective pedagogy. How can I use that one to my first year students or to my grade 4 students? You can create an activity. But after the class, then you can ask students to post a moment for reflections, what they think, for their insights. That would actually depend on the needs of the students, as well as it would depend on how the teacher will use it. But all these approaches can be applied regardless of the grade levels of students. They can. It would even be good if these approaches will be used in the basic education. So that they get to use this, like critical pedagogy, constructivist pedagogy. Very helpful. You can use them to any grade levels or for all grade levels. So you have here. Now, thank you so much, Robina and Gabby. Thank you so much also, Sister Osida. Okay, welcome. And we have here Maria Ana Del Mundo. I have another proposition with you. Thank you. Thank you too. And thank you for joining, Maria. Thank you. And we have from Junoel Ohinyar. Thanks for the comprehensive and clear discussion. Thank you too for joining and for writing. Maria Teresa Ann, appreciate your response to my query. Okay, thank you also, Maria, and thank you for your inputs. From Jennifer Tavares, thank you, Doc, for this refreshing and comprehensive talk. Welcome, and thank you again. Thank you, Sir Reem, for really appreciating our session. And I am really pleased to have you all. You're so wonderful. Thank you for your insights, inputs, and questions. And I hope that all this makes sense to you and that you can pick out some few insights, one or two, that you can apply in your own context. Okay, Eileen, Joy, thank you too, Eileen, for joining. And Sir Will, again, thank you so much. And Micheline, Rivo, thank you too for joining. Thank you all to all for joining us today. Zainom, it's fine, Zainom. You can have it next time. You can join us and you can be active.
Thank you, ma'am.
No worries. And we have from Richie Diaz. Thank you so much. Thank you too for joining, Richie. Okay, so it's really about lunchtime. I don't know in your time here in Cambodia and Myanmar, Philippines.
It's already 1 o'clock in the Philippines, Mom, in Mindanao.
Oh my God!
So
what
much
about
for
your
sharing your world-class knowledge and expertise in this field. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for joining. And oh, I really stayed you long, sister, and all. I'm so glad that you joined us up to this time. Now, I guess it's time now to end the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you
and
so
hope to
much.
see you again.
Thank you so much.
Your
And then
life.
we will back again on Wednesday.
Thank you very much,
will be
everybody.
announced.
So before we close our session today, I would like to remind you with some important notes. First of all materials as well as the assignment forms are available on our program's website under the Modules 2022-2023 section and are also shared in the chat box. So please kindly download them and save them to your devices. Please complete the assignment on the 2 Google Forms before Monday, October the 3rd, and your assignment will be subjected to evaluation before we issue the e-certificate to your email. Second, your name on the assignment will be the one used in your certificate, so please sure to input it correctly. Finally, please fill in your email in our attendance link for today's section. Thank you very much for your active participation, and we will see you on the section next month. Thank you very much.
Ciao.
All right, have a nice day.
Have a nice day. And thank you again. See you next time.